Welcome to NewsNation's Backscroll, where we look back at our major news coverage on the most important topics and personalities of our time.
So many conspiracy theories swirling around about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Do you have any updates for us, especially in light of all the online content that everyone's been talking about?
The only thing we deal with at the FBI and the Department of Justice is facts. And we delivered in record speed a manhunt to capture Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin in 33 hours. And if you put that in perspective, to Luigi Mangione or the Boston bomber, they took them 5 days and a police officer lost their life in their manhunt. We are running on absolutely every single lead. And the best thing we can do to honor my friend Charlie Kirk's life is to make sure that everyone involved is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And that's what we're focused on, investigating the facts, not trading in conspiracy theories.
It's been 35 days since a shooter assassinated Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University, and despite DNA evidence, text messages, and confessions all tying a single suspect to his murder, those conspiracies the FBI director was asked about are still running wild. Some of them are coming from members of the Trump administration. Police arrested 22-year-old Tyler Robinson on the evening of September 11th. He was not captured. He turned himself in 33 hours after he allegedly shot and killed Kirk with a bolt-action rifle. He confessed to police with his parents at his side. His DNA was found on the trigger of the rifle. He had texted his partner and roommate to conceal evidence, and authorities said with confidence that he acted alone. But that hasn't stopped conspiracies on the internet, many of them coming from popular right-wing commentator Candace Owens, who once famously and wrongly claimed the French president's wife is a man. Owens has suggested without evidence that there is a cover-up in Kirk's killing. She theorizes the shot wasn't from a rifle on a rooftop. Instead, she's called on authorities to investigate a so-called trap door leading to underground tunnels near where Kirk was shot. Other theories on the web have suggested that Israel was behind Kirk's murder. So many people have been saying that, in fact, that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu felt compelled to address them.
Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, said that the bigger the lie, the faster it will spread. Well, somebody has fabricated a monstrous big lie that Israel had something to do with Charlie Kirk's horrific murder. This is insane.
NewsNation's senior correspondent Brian Enton is separating fact from fiction for us on the ground in Orem, Utah. Brian, tell us more.
Yeah, we're in the courtyard where the shooting actually happened. You can get close now that the investigation out here is over, at least. Look at this, Elizabeth, under this American flag. That's where Charlie Kirk was standing when he was shot. That, of course, was caught on video. Police say Tyler Robinson was up on that rooftop in the distance right there. He was caught on video on the roof. But despite the video evidence and everything else that you listed off, there are still so many people who don't think he's the one who did it. Despite DNA evidence and an alleged confession, there are still so many theories about who is really responsible for Charlie Kirk's assassination. Questions about the alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, how he got the gun to the campus. His walk indicates he had the rifle hidden in his pants. So this is with the scope?
With the scope on. I could do the other one with it off. Okay, there you go.
And then can you walk?
Oh man, it's the same one.
So, as I bend my knee, this pops forward a little bit, but there you go.
Okay, and that's with the scope?
Yeah. And those pictures of him in the stairwell, I've always thought, well, how do you walk upstairs with this? It seems difficult, you know, because I can't really bend my leg. So you kind of have to do a weird step up.
Jim Cannon with neck shot precision showed us, even with the scope on, the rifle did fit in his pants. Getting the rifle into a backpack is more of a challenge. Do you mind just disassembling it one more time and just showing us?
So front action screw here.
Is that a special tool you would need?
Just an Allen wrench.
Okay, just an Allen wrench.
Get it any hardware store. Again, this is for this rifle. The Mauser he shot is a slight difference, but it's essentially the same thing. So.
Okay, and then show me how. So it still would not fit. This is as small as you could get it.
This gun, yes.
Yeah.
And that gun's very similar.
Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith and Under Sheriff Sean Buffton say there is no question they have the right guy. They've been part of the investigation since the beginning, and their evidence response team actually found the gun.
When he's walking up to that roof, there is definitely a way he is walking that you can see that that gun is being concealed.
Yeah, that part seems pretty clear, but it's more when he's in the stairwell. Did he plant the gun ahead of time? Because you don't see him holding the gun in those pictures, and then it's kind of hard to understand what's happening with the gun when he's leaving in that surveillance video because it's kind of grainy.
It is grainy, and it is what it is, right? And I've heard all sorts of things on that. You know, he has a gun, he doesn't have a gun. I think some of it is you're going to believe what you want to believe, but if you watch that video, he is carrying a gun, and when he drops off that building, he does drop something. You see him pick it back up.
The sheriff and undersheriff say they are inundated with skeptical questions about the investigation. People don't trust the FBI or the feds a lot of the time, which is why I wanted to talk to you guys, because you're local. I think people trust the locals more. You're in the loop, obviously. I mean, if there was something strange, you would know about it, right?
Yeah. And there's nothing hidden in this case. There's nothing crazy that's hidden deep.
I'll tell you right now, if something wasn't being done or should be done or was looking wrong or everybody says there's a cover-up, I would be the first to be screaming from the pulpit that something is wrong.
The sheriff and the undersheriff, Elizabeth, are really frustrated by a lot of these theories. People come up to them every day with different theories, wanting to talk to them, and they try to have these conversations and explain what the facts actually are. Tyler Robinson, by the way, the suspect is in their jail. They say there's been no issues with him. They've got a very, very close eye on him. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Mr. President, for honoring my husband in such a profound and meaningful way. And thank you for making this event a priority amid the peace process in the Middle East. Thank you. Very grateful. Charlie always admired your commitment to freedom, and that's something that both of you shared. So thank you. Your support of our family and the work that Charlie devoted his life to will be something I cherish forever, so thank you. To our gracious First Lady in her office for making this event possible, thank you as well. It's beautiful. To Vice President and the lovely Usha Vance, your friendship has been an unbelievable encouragement. Thank you. And to all our friends and family that are here and watching from all around the world, thank you for loving us. Thank you for praying for us and for believing in what Charlie believed in. And to our Turning Point USA staff and the Charlie Kirk Show staff, we love you more than you could ever know. And to the Turning Point USA chapters that are watching all across America right now, you are the heartbeat of this future and of this movement. Everything that Charlie built, you guys are the legacy holders of that. You are living proof that his mission did not die with him. It lives through you. And Charlie always said the next generation will decide whether freedom endures. And because of you, I know that freedom will endure. It will. And today we're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom. The very existence of the Presidential Medal of Freedom reminds us that the national interest of the United States has always been freedom. Our founders etched it into the preamble of our Constitution, and those words are not relics on parchment. They are a living covenant. The blessings of liberty are not man's invention, they are God's endowment. Charlie lived for those blessings, not as abstract words, but as sacred promises. He used to love to journal about this topic all the time, and with such a heart postured of gratitude. And he believed that liberty was both a right and a responsibility. And he used to say, freedom is the ability to do what is right without fear. And that's how he lived. He was free from fear. He was free from compromise, free from anything that could enslave his soul.
God bless all of you for coming here from all over the world to honor and celebrate my Charlie. Just a few miles from here, 2 years ago at America Fest 2023, Charlie delivered a speech on stage for our TPUSA Faith event. Charlie loves speaking off the cuff. He was very good at that, without a script. So I personally didn't know what he was going to say. And what he chose to speak about that day was his submission to the will of God. He quoted one of his favorite Bible verses, Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. Here I am, Lord. Send me. After Charlie finished, I met him backstage, and I spoke to him, and I'll never forget this. I said, Charlie, baby, please talk to me next time before you say that statement. Because when you say something like that, there is so much power in that verse. When you say, here I am, Lord, use me, God will take you up on that. And he did with Charlie. "11 days ago, God accepted that total surrender from my husband and then called him to his side. More than anything, Charlie wanted to do not his will, but God's will. And over these past 11 days, through all the pain, never before have I found as much comfort as I now do in the words of our Lord's Prayer, thy will be done. God's love was revealed to me on the very day my husband was murdered. On the afternoon of September 10th, I arrived at a Utah hospital to do the unthinkable, to look directly at my husband's murdered body. I saw the wound that ended his life. I felt everything you would expect to feel. I felt shock. I felt horror and a level of heartache that I didn't even know existed. But there was something else too. Even in death, I could see the man that I love. I saw the one single gray hair on the side of his head, which I never told him about. Now he knows. Sorry, baby, I'm telling you now, but never told him. Didn't want to. I also saw this. I also saw on his lips the faintest smile. And that told me something important. It revealed to me a great mercy from God in this tragedy. When I saw it, told me Charlie didn't suffer. Even the doctor told me. It was something so instant that even if Charlie had been shot in the operating room itself, nothing could have been done. There was no pain, there was no fear, no agony. One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved, arguing and debating on campus, fighting for the gospel and truth in front of a big crowd. And then he blinked. He blinked and saw his Savior in paradise. And all the heavenly mysteries were revealed to him. God's love continued to be revealed to me in the days that followed. The next day on the tarmac in Air Force Two, I confronted Usha Vance, precious woman. I held her hand and I told her, honestly, I do not know how I'm going to get through this. She told me something. She said, you know when you're on an airplane with your kids and it's the last 15 minutes of the flight and things are crazy, kids are not cooperating, toys are flying everywhere and everyone's screaming. And you think to yourself, I cannot wait for this flight to land. And it's 15 minutes before you land. And she told me, you will get through these 15 minutes and the next 15 minutes after that. Usha, I don't think you realized it then, but those words were exactly what I needed to hear. But most of all, God's mercy and God's love have been revealed to me these past 10 days. After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. We didn't see rioting. We didn't see revolution. Instead, we saw what my husband always prayed he would see in this country. We saw revival. This past week, we saw people open a Bible for the first time in a decade. We saw people pray for the first time since they were children. We saw people go to a church service for the first time in their entire lives. Charlie liked to journal. And I say this because He did it to remember important moments and sayings that affected him. And one of the things he wrote in his journal was this: every time you make a decision, it puts a mark on your soul. To those of you out there who just made that decision and took the first step toward a spiritual life, I say thank you and welcome. One day I hope you look back and realize it was the most important decision of your life, because it is. All of you who are already believers, it is your job to shepherd these people. Do not take that lightly. Water the seed of their faith. Protect it and help it grow. Every day as Charlie rode into the office, he would go through his contact list. And I know there's many of you who were impacted by this. He would go through his contact list and send Bible verses for the day. He knew that faith was a habit. The more you live it, the more it grows. But know this too: the seed has only just been planted. The enemy will tempt you the most in a time like this one. God will always be there for you, but you must choose to mark your soul again and again in the direction of Christ. Pray again. Read the Bible again. Go to church next Sunday and the Sunday after that, and break free from the temptations and shackles of this world. Being a follower of Christ is not easy. It's not supposed to be. Jesus said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. He said he would be persecuted. He said we would be persecuted. And Charlie knew that and happily carried his cross all the way to the end. And I want all of you to know, while Charlie died far too early, he was also ready to die. There was nothing he was putting off. There was nothing that was too hard or too painful, or nothing that he just felt like he didn't want to do it. He left this world without regrets. He did 100% of what he could every day. But I want you to know something. Charlie died with incomplete work, but not with unfinished business. But I will miss him. I will miss him so much, because our marriage and our family were beautiful. And they still are. The greatest cause in Charlie's life was trying to revive the American family. When he spoke to young people, he was always eager to tell them about God's vision for marriage and how, if they could just dare to live it out, it would enrich every part of their life in the same way that it enriched ours. And someone once asked me how Charlie and I, how we kept our marriage so strong when he was busy traveling. and our little secret. It was love notes. Every Saturday, Charlie wrote one for me, and he never missed a Saturday. And in every single one of them, he'd tell me what his highlight was for the week, how grateful he was for me and our babies. And always at the end, he would always end it with asking the most beautiful question. He'd always end it by asking, "Please let me know how I can better serve you as a husband." Charlie perfectly understood God's role for a Christian husband. A man who leads so that they can serve. To all the men watching around the world, accept Charlie's challenge and embrace true manhood. Be strong and courageous for your families. Love your wives and lead them. Love your children and protect them. Be the spiritual head of your home. But please be a leader worth following. Your wife is not your servant. Your wife is not your employee. Your wife is not your slave. She is your helper. You are not rivals. You are one flesh working together for the glory of God. I was Charlie's confidant. I was his vault. His closest and most trusted advisor, his best friend. I poured into him and loved him so deeply, empowered him, because his love for me drove me to be a better wife. Every day he honored me, and I prayed that I could be the wife that God needed me to be for my husband. Women, I have a challenge for you too. Be virtuous. Our strength is found in God's design for our role. We are the guardians. We are the encouragers. We are the preservers. Guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it. And if you're a mother, please recognize that is the single most important ministry you have. In our home, because Charlie traveled a lot, we tried to travel with him where we could. But I made sure that when Charlie returned from work, it was his sacred landing place, away from the worries of the world. I didn't make him feel guilty for being away too long or too much, or getting home too late. I always told him, home is here for you, and it'll be ready for you. And I made it into this place where he wanted to be as soon as possible when he was on the road. There was no keeping score between us. We were a team, working together for the same mission. I never wanted to be the one standing between Charlie and the task that God prepared for him, had set for him. And I knew Charlie would always do his best to help me with the same. My marriage with Charlie was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know it was the best thing that ever happened to him as well. He wanted everyone to experience that joy. And that's what's so beautiful about God's design for marriage, is that everyone can. And I could talk endlessly about it, and years to come I will. But Charlie's mission above all was aimed directly at those who aren't married. He named his organization well. He knew things were not right with America, and especially with young people, and they needed a new direction. Charlie passionately wanted to reach and save the lost boys of the West. The young men who feel like they have no direction, no purpose, no faith, and no reason to live. The men wasting their lives on distractions, and the men consumed with resentment, anger, and hate. Charlie wanted to help them. He wanted them to have a home with Turning Point USA. And when he went onto campus, he was looking to show them a better path and a better life that was right there for the taking. He wanted to show them that. My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. That young man, on the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us. The world needs Turning Point USA. It needs a group that will point young people away from the path of misery and sin. It needs something that will lead people away from hell in this world and in the next. It needs young people pointed in the direction of truth and beauty. And so I promise you today, every part of our work will become greater. I am tremendously honored to be the new CEO of Turning Point USA. I do not take that lightly. Charlie and I were united in purpose. His passion was my passion, and now his mission is my mission. Everything that Turning Point USA built through Charlie's vision and hard work, we will make 10 times greater through the power of his memory. Chapters will grow, thousands of new ones will be created. TPUSA Faith will add thousands of new pastors and congregations. And yes, campus events will continue, and we will continue to hold debates and dialogue. The First Amendment of our Constitution is the most human amendment. We are naturally talking beings, naturally believing beings. And the First Amendment protects our right to do both. No assassin will ever stop us from standing up to defend those rights, ever. Because when you stop the conversation, when you stop the dialogue, this is what happens. When we lose the ability and the willingness to communicate, we get violence. And as I stand here now and I look at this beautiful photo of my husband in front of me hanging in the stadium, I think of my husband 13 years ago. I hadn't met him yet. He was 18 years old, a man barely out of high school, running around the halls of the RNC without a dollar in his pocket and a single contact in his phone. People who saw him said that he didn't know what he was doing, but he did. He did know what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was going to change the world, and he did. Charlie's life was a turning point for this country. It was a miracle. Let that miracle that was Charlie's life be your turning point as well. Choose prayer. Choose courage. Choose beauty. Choose adventure. Choose family. Choose a life of faith. Most importantly, choose Christ. I love you, Charlie, baby. And I will make you proud. God bless you all, and God bless America.
Let's see if all the people who applauded Erica's eulogy, who stood and cheered, can practice what she applied to a much more difficult circumstance. Let's see if this moment can be more than just another step down the road to more division. Now, we need our better minds more than ever. The man I'm bringing on, I've been chasing to have on for a while, and I'm very happy it's tonight. Now, do we agree on everything? No. On most things? I don't know. I don't care. I respect his mind and his experience. Conservative author, journalist, political commentator, Mr. Douglas Murray. Douglas, thank you for taking the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Great pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
What is your perspective on where America is on the state of its political play?
Well, as you mentioned in your intro, I mean, it's an extremely dangerous moment because everyone has spoken about the division in our politics here in America for many years. That division isn't new, but as you also mentioned, it's been exacerbated by the world of social media. And it's led to a situation that I've described for many years, which is that we no longer disagree about our interpretation of events. We actually disagree now about the facts. The case of Jimmy Kimmel, which should be a sort of totally frivolous, unimportant, social media asterisk to all of this, it does actually have one thing it could have, which could be important, which is what if Mr. Kimmel took the opportunity to say, I was wrong. I put out a claim about the assassin of Charlie Kirk and his motives, which was not true. And I regret that because although I'm in the business of comedy, I still shouldn't put out false information and spew false facts. Why would that be important? Because if you look at the polling in America in the last couple of days of what Democrats and Republicans think about the motives of the alleged shooter of Charlie, you'll see that a large proportion of leftists do believe that the gunman was some MAGA Republican, and Republican voters have read the text exchanges that will obviously come up in the court case as well, and I think understandably concluded what those texts suggest, which is that the assassin acted in the appalling way he did because he was motivated by a form of far-left political extremism. Now, there's a sort of grown-up way of approaching that, which would be to say, can we accept in America, as in any society, that political violence can come from any side? That would be just the obvious thing to do. But the harder thing to do is to say, what happens if it comes from my political side? Can I face up to that? And that speaks to the Kimmel problem. The problem with Kimmel is he's fed into this thing of, no, I'm not willing to accept it. If I'm a leftist, I'm not willing to accept it, and I'll have my own different facts. And in that meeting place, between what used to be different opinions and now having different facts, if we allow that second one to continue, there's just no way to find any form of reconciliation.
So I believe that, look, I think what Jimmy got tripped up on here wasn't so much that, this was a MAGA guy, but that he was making a comment about how he thought the right was manipulating this after the fact, but it doesn't matter how we got here. What matters is what you do with it, and we'll see his answer tomorrow night. I was very happy that you said yes to come on tonight because of what I heard from Tucker at the memorial. And he just openly basically wants to say that forget about this punk with the gun, look at Israel. And there is a malignancy that is going on in our society. And I don't believe that Israel is anything more than opportunistic for it, to be honest. I think they get confused with being the white oppressor for some on the far left, that when people look at Israel, they think it's like they think it's Goliath instead of David. But when you hear that said, and it almost goes by without mention that Tucker's at a memorial being watched by millions of people and just trashes the idea that Israel may have had something to do with this. And Charlie Kirk was aware of that, which I don't think squares with his real opinion, by the way. What did you make of that?
Well, I thought it was less important what Carlson said at the memorial than what he'd said in the days after. You mentioned earlier Steve Bannon's claim that the messages and the shooter were somehow fake. That I don't know how somebody like Bannon has decided to come to that conclusion. I didn't know he had, but I had noticed Tucker Carlson and others in the aftermath of the murder of Charlie Kirk doing this kind of, someone else must have been involved. They ordered it. Who is they? And then before you know it, there's that slippery thing that, again, I mean, right and left can do. On this occasion, it's some figures from the right who say, you know, I'm just asking questions, but Israel has something to answer for. That is, I mean, that is just the most basic, low-resolution, conspiracy theory-minded pap you can ever get into. It's worth saying again, as with the thing of political violence, something like the oldest hatred of anti-Semitism can come from the political left. In recent years, it has mainly come from the political left, I would say, from demonstrators at campuses across America thinking that they're defending the rights of Palestinians and chasing Jews across campus in 21st century America, screaming, "Go back to Poland." Okay, that's just overt anti-Semitism on the political left, and it is a major failing of the political left in America that it does not distance itself more from that eruption, because, of course, they think only the right can be bigots, only the right can be racists, only the right can be anti-Semites. In the case of people using the murder of Charlie Kirk and spinning it into this conspiracy, I'm afraid it plays to the same base instincts and conspiracies and much more. And by the way, as I mentioned in the New York Post the other day, there's two particularly interesting aspects to that. There's a question underneath the motives of the people trying to spin that. The first one is, notice that although Charlie Kirk said many critical things in his life, and I think rightly, certainly had the right to do so, about Islamic fundamentalism, about some of the fundamentals of Islam. Weirdly, none of these figures on the sort of conspiratorial right in America have claimed that it was the Muslims who did it. That's quite interesting, because it's always interesting to see which conspiracy theory people are going to fall into. But the second thing that's much more striking to me is this, if I can say so quickly, which is, imagine how strange it is that, again, I mean, the trial is forthcoming of the alleged assassin, but imagine how strange it is that people on the political right in America who have warned in recent years about the transgender movement, who've warned about handing out cross-sex hormones, which have a major effect on people's brains and as well as on their physique and much more. Imagine the people who've warned about that, who've been saying for years, look, there are two sexes, and anyone who claims there's a million different genders, this is just weird, crazy, cuckoo stuff, and we've got to wake people up to it. Imagine for those people, you actually have an alleged shooter whose partner appears to have been transitioning and who texts to his partner after the shooting, you know, there's no negotiation with some type of hate. And Charlie is shot in the throat whilst answering a question about transgender shooters. What more, I don't want to say perfect, but what more sort of useful in a way thing, if you were thinking in those terms and you were pushing a particular set of ideas, what would be more useful to your cause than to say, look, we've been talking about this for all this time, and now somebody has been shot for raising these questions by somebody in a relationship, etc., etc. Imagine in that situation to decide, I'm actually going to push aside the facts, even though they could be useful to some of the arguments I make, because I would rather blame the Jews.
Yeah, but you know why? You know why? It works better. If the numbers on the bottom of the thumbnail are not big enough to justify the profits you want and to keep you in the mix with the names that are populating the trending hashtags, then you're not going to say it. And the Jews resonate with division. And the trans don't. They are a beleaguered minority, and there are plenty of conversations to have around the process and the age and the acceptance and all of it. But all I know about the facts in this situation is that you had this POS that pulled the trigger, and it was the alleged trans person in those texts who was reasonably shocked by what he had done and why, and was questioning him about it. It was, you know, it was the non-trans in that equation that was the one who was acting crazy. But they do it because opportunistically, Doug. You know, when I watched you, Douglas, with Rogan and Dave Smith, and most people won't know who that is, and maybe that's a good thing. But you know what you're talking about. You've covered the conflict. You understand the nuance. And literally, it was just listening to two people look at you and say, yeah, I don't see it that way. Nah, I don't like it. Yeah, and I'm a Jew, by the way. And yeah, I don't like it. And that is what is passing for a back and forth these days. And that's why I believe, Douglas, as we enter this next phase for the Jews. This is the new year and the 10 days of awe. And of course, our Christians will have their own calendar. It is a good time of the year to start thinking about what we're doing and what we're doing to ourselves.
I would agree.
And I'm very happy to have you as part of the conversation.
I just
Go ahead, Douglas. Make a last point for me.
Just, forgiveness is an incredibly important thing, but as is the demand that people ask for forgiveness and want forgiveness. This is something that we are going to have to think about as well. Forgiving is one thing and a superhuman virtue, but it is also necessary for somebody who has done evil to seek forgiveness. And that is something we also need to see.
Nobody's going to see it as evil when it's advantage. And if it's getting them where they want to be and getting more of what is valued, the state of play stays how it is. I look forward to having many conversations with you, Douglas Murray, and I appreciate you for your work.
Thank you. You too.
He was able to fight people that were enemies, and he didn't necessarily love those enemies so much. You know, I heard he loved his enemies, and I said, wait a minute, is that the same Charlie that I know? I'm not sure, but I didn't want to get into it.
That was Donald Trump, once again, not quite grasping the true message of Charlie Kirk. At the ceremony today awarding Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom, once again, Charlie's widow, Erica, completely stole the show.
Surprisingly enough, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did. He did. He did.
Today, a who's who, quite literally, of MAGA came to the White House and saw a Donald Trump feeling more confident than ever. He feels like he's winning the war on crime. A legal battle against his political opponents he thinks is going quite well. He believes he is winning the government shutdown and loves the confrontations on illegal immigration. Just last month at Kirk's funeral, we witnessed something that should give Team Trump pause. Huge groups, I took this video, left the event as Trump spoke. Today was the do-over. With us now, Congressman Jim Jordan, Republican from Ohio, head of the Judiciary Committee. Welcome on set, sir. It's good to see you. Is the Republican Party fully united right now in the shutdown and in going after, broadly speaking, Trump's enemies?
No, we're united in support of what we told the voters we were going to do. We're united in the success President Trump has had, whether it's securing the border, whether it's cutting taxes, whether it's getting men out of women's sports, whether it's the huge peace deal that was announced this weekend in Israel, and the fact that the hostages.
So you guys are feeling more powerful than ever?
No, I feel like we're doing what we told the voters we were going to do. And then relative to the Justice Department, this is a Justice Department that's taking the facts, applying the law to those facts, and prosecuting where appropriate, certainly so with Jim Comey and Letitia James.
Okay. So you're now saying that you're going to demand testimony on the prosecutions against Trump. This is a letter that you put out to Jack Smith. That was the special prosecutor appointed for Donald Trump, that indicted Donald Trump. As the committee continues its oversight, your testimony is necessary to understand the full extent to which the Biden-Harris Justice Department weaponized federal law enforcement. Are we going to just get into an endless cycle of this?
No,
hold on. It's a question, though, okay? If Democrats take control of the House, right, there's every expectation they're going to drag every member of the Trump DOJ. Right. So this is just the endless cycle, right? What makes this different?
This is us doing our constitutional duty of oversight. This is the fact that we've brought in 3 of the individuals who were part of Jack Smith's special counsel team, 3 of the lawyers. 2 of them took the 5th. One of them 73 times, another one 71 times. So they take the 5th, and then you couple that fact with what we know about Jack Smith's investigation. They put a gag order on President Trump. They raided his home. They manipulated evidence. We know that. But the court filing, when they took the classified information, so-called classified information from President Trump's home, they changed the sequence and had to file something new with the court. They tried to persuade and someone used the term bribe a a lawyer for one of the defendants. He said, "We didn't know you were a Trump supporter. We thought you were interested in this federal judge position." This is Stanley Woodward, a lawyer who came and testified in front of our. So they did all that, not to mention taking a sitting member of Congress's phone prior to Jack Smith's special counsel team being put together, but lawyers who did that. And then they spied on 8 members of Congress. So that's why we want to talk to Jack Smith.
And I'm trying to figure out how this is different, because I've asked Democrats the same question, okay? Donald Trump took the fifth 450 times with Letitia James. If we're going to just continue this of Democrats investigating Republicans when they're in power and Republicans investigating Democrats when they're in power, how are you guys going to get anything done?
We're focused on getting to the facts, getting to the truth, and holding people accountable who did wrong.
Which is exactly the same thing Democrats say when they come on the show.
Well, but the country, there was an election about that, and the country understood what the Democrats did was weaponization of the federal government, particularly the Justice Department, and it was lawfare run amok. Whether it was Alvin Bragg, Jack Smith, Fonnie Willis, you name it.
And we've talked about every one of them on the show.
Yeah.
This may be a different point. If the economy does not, I would say, improve, but certainly if we do not have real change, you know this coming from Ohio better than anybody else, all of this stuff about weaponization of the federal government, as bad as it is, not going to matter a lick to the voters. Here's Mark Mitchell of Real America's Voice, clearly a pro-Trump network. Take a listen.
I think Trump immediately needs to get back to domestic policy stuff. Donald Trump had a pretty high approval rating in the middle of June, and then what happened is we started getting involved in Israel and Iran, and his approval rating started tanking. And people were overwhelmingly supportive of taking out Iran's nuclear program, but the reason that he got elected was because of economic concerns and because of a blowback of the Biden regime overreach, weaponization of government, and the collapsing trust.
So the Biden stuff you're taking care of. You have no worries about the economy.
No, I think the economy is moving in the right direction. I feel good about that. I think the fact that we cut taxes, that's a good thing. The huge tax increase was going to happen if we didn't do the big, beautiful bill. That bill was good for America. And you know that bill was good. I always say, you know that bill was good because the left hated it, because it empowered families, let them keep more of their money, secured the border, said for the first time in our federal tax code, we're going to have a school choice component built into the tax code. So really good for families. I think that's going to help our economy grow. I think the fact that interest rates are coming down, what the Fed announced a few weeks ago, I think all that is helpful. And then you couple that with all the promises President Trump made that he's now accomplished relative to the border, relative to peace in Israel, relative to the tax cuts, all those things.
You know I'm going to tell you, because it's true, that the polling doesn't say that you are right about any of this.
You don't think it is a good deal in Israel? You don't think that's good? You don't think securing the border has been popular with the voters?
I'm saying three-quarters.
On that issue alone, every single poll shows Americans trust Republicans on securing the border and taking care of immigration.
I'm talking about the economy. Three-quarters of the Americans, 74% of Americans, describe the economic conditions as only fair or poor.
Well, we hope they get better, and I think they are on the right path. And that is always important, particularly in midterm elections. I think it's important in all elections, and I think it will get better. President Trump's economy in his first term was great. I think it's going to move in the right direction here, and we got a year until the midterms. I think things are moving in the right direction. And we don't get the deal in the Middle East that the president got. You don't get that if he doesn't show the strength and resolve and do what he said he was going to do relative to Iran. You don't take out their nuclear capabilities. I don't think you get that.
We've praised that. I don't know how many.
Just like in his first term, you don't get the Abraham Accords if he doesn't put the embassy in Jerusalem. This is the guy who does what he said. I heard some of that.
Okay, good. Okay, there you go. I want to get back to this though about the way the president is approaching the American people still in campaign mode, because I noted at Charlie Kirk's funeral, huge crowds left in the middle of President Trump's speech when he started talking about how I hate my enemies. Charlie didn't hate my enemies. Today, it was a little bit more toned down, and then there was Erica talking about her daughter on her daughter's father's birthday. Take a listen.
She said, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I want to give you a stuffed animal." I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream, and I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you, is what she said.
Is President Trump meeting the moment of understanding how the American people are feeling, at times needing a comforter-in-chief rather than campaigner-in-chief?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, I've had the fortune of spending time, our family spent some time around the president, gotten to know him over the last decade. Amazing guy. I tell every group I talk to, I wish everyone could spend time with the guy because you cannot help but like him. He is a generous host. He's a person who loves this country. I think Eric has said it well. I think President Trump said it well. Charlie was certainly the happy warrior fighting the good fight. I always say.
Is that what Republicans need to be, though, more than the way President Trump is?
I always think. I think President Trump is a happy warrior. I do. I mean, everyone likes to characterize him different, but I spent time with him. You talk to him on the phone. I laugh every time I talk to the guy.
But why don't the American people see the guy that you say you wish everybody could spend time with?
I think a majority of them did in the last election. They voted for him. And look. This guy's an amazing president, and I always say we make the job too complicated. What'd you tell the voters you're going to do when you ran for it? If you get elected, go do what you said. No one does it better than this guy. No one does it better than this guy. And frankly, I do think the happy warrior is the right approach. I mean, I try to get along with all my Democrat colleagues. Do it with a smile on your face. Fight for this is exactly what Charlie Kirk did. 2 Timothy 4:7. Fight the good fight, finish the course, keep the faith. That's what he did, and he did it with a smile on his face.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.